Talk to me about what you found when you got to Korea.
Well, when I got to Korea, I was trying to answer that question, who is behind all of this? Western tech companies often have a charismatic CEO, a Jobs, a Zuckerberg, an Ellison. Who's at Samsung? And from the outside, there's no indication that there's anybody. But once you go in the company, you discover the influence of the chairman, as he is constantly referred to. That would be Lee Kun-hee. The chairman is everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. This is a wonderful scene in your story when you're in a room and you hear a sound on a loudspeaker and it's just a tape-recorded voice of something the chairman had to say?
That's right. They maintain this Human Resources Development Center outside of Seoul, actually next door to a theme park that they built and own. This is a theme park. It's a little different. The theme is Samsung, and they train their employees there. And from time to time, when walking through the facility, you might hear some of the wise words of the chairman, blared out over a PA system.
That's just creepy. But also interesting, talk to me about the Frankfurt Declaration.
Yes, that would be the Frankfurt Declaration of 1993, which sounds like something at the UN, but it isn't. It actually happened in Frankfurt at the Kempinski Hotel when Lee Kun-hee gathered hundreds of his top executives and laid out for them his vision for the future for the company, something that took 3 days to do. It was then...
Wait, 3 days? It was a 3-day speech?
It was a 3-day speech. My understanding is that they did adjourn to go to sleep, but then they would come back and he would sort of say, and part 39, and continue going on from there. And the contents of that declaration are known within the company as New Management, capital N, capital M. And it was turned into a 200-page book that was sent to every Samsung employee. Then they were given a glossary book for the terms in the first book. For employees who were in parts of the world where literacy rates were low, they were given a cartoon version.
It's just simply incredible. And the room where this happened,
yes,
they rebuilt a replica of the room so people could have this literal touchstone to the moment when the declaration came down from on high?
It's a little bit like maybe some sort of Smithsonian exhibit, right? Like, oh, here's Julia Child's kitchen. Well, if you're at the Human Resources Development Center in Yongin outside of Seoul, you see this room and it has all this old furniture in it. And you go, why do you have a room with old furniture? And they say, well, this is the furniture that we brought back from Germany where the chairman delivered the Frankfurt Declaration, and it's all been recreated like a shrine almost.
Can't imagine the room was designed as a shrine. I also think the piece was very interesting in the way where you talk about how Samsung approaches the market. I mean,
yep,
one of the lacks of a benefit of being old, you might think of this as the refrigerator company that made sort of third-tier products, but yeah, the way that they get into new markets, you detail wonderfully in this story.
Well, it's been their way for the last 20, 25 years. I mean, it's always been their intention. They start out with something kind of small. They build a component for a larger product. So, for example, LCD panels for televisions, and they sell the LCD panels to Sony or to Toshiba or other brands that we at the time had known and loved. But by doing that, they gained an understanding of the entire television market. They did the same with memory chips and with DRAM processors, and then they moved into logic semiconductors as well. So they gain a foothold. Then when they figured out how they want to do it better and faster, they sink a lot of money into it. They find industries that have a real high requirement of capital. That keeps competitors out, and then they start making products themselves.